11 years old. I'm the founder of 10xforacase.com, and if you like this video, don't forget to smash the like button and share this video with as many people as you can. And if you're not subscribed to my channel yet, kindly do it so that you don't miss any of my videos. So without any delay, let's get started. And today we are gonna learn such a topic that almost 90% of the JavaScript developers don't know about. We are learning about generator functions. The people who know about this also misunderstand this. They think these functions are not so useful. But today I'm gonna explain what are generator functions and how they work and why can you use them, why should you use them. So, without any delay, let's get started. And if you want to learn such things that not most of the people know about JavaScript, but they are super useful things to know, then do subscribe to my channel because I'm gonna give you content that almost 90% of the JavaScript developers don't know. And I'm also gonna teach some basics that are common things basically, but people misunderstand. So I'm teaching a lot of stuff on this channel about coding. So if you love HTML, CSS and JavaScript and all Node.js, MySQL, MongoDB, like I'm gonna bring MySQL and MongoDB content in 2 or 3 days only. But if you love all of this content, do subscribe to this channel and smash the like button also. So without any delay, let's get started. Dab. So basically today's topic is generators functions. So generator functions, most of the people misunderstand this topic, and they, like 90% of the JavaScript developers, as I said, don't know about this also. So today I'm gonna show you how generator functions work, what are they, why should you use them. So yeah, let's go to Replit. So because this is the editor that we use in this channel, and then we'll just add a new REPL. Okay, so first of all, what we are going to learn is the syntax. So we'll just go to script.js, just open this project in a new tab, and yeah, we are good to go now. So basically, first of all, we are gonna learn the syntax of this generator functions. So basically, let's revise the syntax of normal functions. All of you must be knowing this, but let's see. So basically, you write normal functions like this, like give the function keyword, name the function, give brackets. If you want an argument, give something like arg, and then basically do a lot of stuff, and then you in the end just like return arg, and then we just make a variable test is equals to, we call test, and then we pass it like hi, and then the value has come in this, like the hi has come in this variable, and then you just like must be alerting it out. Okay, so like test. Okay, so this must be your basic syntax of a normal function. Basically creating a function, doing a lot of stuff, and in the end returning something or not returning also. So it's fine if you don't return anything, but most functions return some or the other thing. Then you just call it over here, and as we were returning whatever we pass, so we were passing hi, so we are returning that only. So in test we'll have hi, and then we are just alerting test, so we are just alerting hi, so hi is coming. Quite simple. But generator functions are having a different way to write. You write a function keyword as normal, and then you have to give the star sign. What this star sign is doing, this is telling JavaScript that we are gonna create a generator function. Okay, it is telling us also and JavaScript also. If you don't give this and like try to create a generator function, like give code like a generator function, it will not work because JavaScript does not know that it is a generator function. So to make JavaScript know that the function you're gonna create is a generator function, you have to give the star symbol, star sign. Okay, and then you can name the generator function anything you like we'll just name this generator over here, generator. Okay, and basically in this we are just gonna, basically this is a special type of function. We need to, like, we are yielding something, yield 1, yield 2, and yield 3. So yield basically is like, what we say, a different type of return for generator functions. So what this yield does, basically what happens in a generator function is that you write some code over here and then return something, then you write some code over here after this yield and then it returns something, and then you write some other code and then it returns something. So basically this is what a basically a generator function does. So yield basically returns a value. Next time you invoke the generator function, it will return this value, and next time you will invoke a generator function, it will return this value. And if I just like give some logs over here, like console.log 1, and just copy this, 2, 3. So what will happen over here, basically, first of all, first when you invoke this function, this will happen. Next time you invoke this function, this will happen, and the third time you invoke this function, this will happen. So basically you will yield out, like yield is basically returning a value. So it will do this task and then it will return this value, then it will, next time you invoke, it will do this task and return this value. So basically it will start from the last where you returned. Okay, so it is very intelligent, it will start from last where you returned a value. Okay, so this is how it works. So we'll just go to a basic syntax, and invoking this is also not so easy. Basically, if this would have been your normal function, you would have just called generator like this. But no, it's not like this. What generator function do, they return us an object. They return an object in which there are three main functions: next, return, and throw. So these are the three functions to worry about, if everything else is not so useful. So basically this generator function does not do any task. First of all, it gives us an object, and basically the next method of that object does all the tasks. So basically the next method invokes this function, and first of all it executes this, then this, and then this. So basically we'll just create an object. So let's create an object. Basically we'll just call generator in this, and then let's log out this object, console.log object, and let's see what we get. So we just reloaded this, and then let's see the console. Okay, so we'll go to console, and here we have the generator object. Let's dive into this, and over here we go in the prototype, and here, so you see there are three functions: next, and then we have to return, and then we have throw. So these are the three main functions to worry about. The main function is next, that will do all your tasks. Okay, oh sorry, we needed that, we will need that a lot. Okay, so here is a generator. So we have seen how a generator is. So basically we have seen that when we call this, And yeah, so when we call this, it does not execute anything. Like I told you, it does not execute anything. It makes an object, a generator object, in which there are three functions: next, return, and throw. And we are just logging out the object to see what's there inside it. So the next thing that we are gonna see is the next method of the generator object. So basically, when we do like obj dot next, so what will happen? Basically, this function is now invoked, and in this we were yielding 1. Okay, so basically we'll get 1. Okay, because yield is just like a special return. Okay, so like you can say it is the return of generator functions. Okay, so first of all, let's give some console logs over here, so just to see what exactly will happen. So let's do before 1, console dot log, before 2, before before 2, and let's then finally console dot log out before 3. Sorry, console console dot log before 3, and then we'll just log out over here. Console sorry guys, console dot log after 3. Okay, so let's see. So when we were first of all doing this, when we were doing object dot next, it was invoking this function, and it was doing the task till the first yield. So the first yield was here, and it was just logging out before 1. So it must be logging out before 1 over here also. So yeah, it is logging out before 1. And you see this object over here, uh, this is a very important object. Basically, yield1 gives an object with two properties. One is the value property, and the other is the done property. Done property, basically, if it is false, it represents that the function is not over yet. But if it is true, it shows that the function is now over. There's nothing more to return. Okay, and value is basically whatever you yield out. So for example, I'll just yield out high. So I'll reload this, and you'll see high has come. So over here it is like this, and now let's like do this several times. Like, okay, let's do this many times. So you let's try to understand what is happening over here now. It is showing us before 1 because it is first running in the first object dot next. It is running this. Then after this yield, the next time we call object dot next, it identifies that we did it till this yield, so it does runs the next yield, and it runs the code till the next yield. After this, it runs the code that is after this yield over here till the next yield it finds. Then it runs the third time, it runs the code after this yield till the next yield. And then let's do this one more time, and you see uh, it's showing before 1, before 2, before 3, and then it is showing us after 3 because it is after this yield it is going from here till the end. And as it could not find any more yields, any more return values, that's why it is showing value of undefined, because there was no return value. And it is showing done to true. It is showing done true because this function is now completed. There is nothing more to return. Okay, so this is how everything is working in here. Okay, so we have seen what happens when calling next. Basically, when we are calling next, it is giving us an object with the value that we have returned through yield and the done state. Done is basically a flag you can say it is a state that, and if it is false, that means uh, there are some more things to return, and the function is not over yet, the generator function is not over yet. But if it is true, it is saying, basically it is indicating that there is nothing more to do, and you have done all your tasks, the generator function has done all its tasks. Okay, so the next thing we are gonna do, we are gonna create multiple instances of this generator function. So basically we are gonna create variable obj2 equals to generator, so you must be thinking this would have reset the value of this generator function. It like when we do object.next. So let's do this over here. Command X, Command V. So you must be thinking that this must have reset the value of your generator function. It must have done object.next, so it will show hi and before 1. So let's just remove these logs to make everything easier. Okay, sorry. Okay, so you must be thinking that when we are doing object.next, it will show hi, then it will show 2, and then it will reset the value and again show hi, and then it will show 2. But no, it's not like that. Basically, we are making a new variable obj2 in which a new generator object instance has been created. A new object has been created. The older object is different from all of these. It will show 1, 2, sorry, hi, 2, 3, and then it will show us undefined because the function is over, the generator has nothing more to return. Okay, and when we just show obj2, you'll see that obj2 also does not have like values, like it will not start from 3, it is completely a new instance, so it will like show new values. So if we go over here, it is showing us hi 2, hi 2. Why? Because first of all we are showing obj.next, and then we are showing obj2.next and obj2.next. So it will not continue, and this is a very good feature of generator functions. You can run multiple generators at the same time. Okay. So now we have learned how to use generator functions, but now we are gonna learn what are the use cases. Why should you use generator functions? So we'll just clear this out over here. Let's get let's have an object, and I think I have told you that it does not invoke over here. It creates an object basically, and it does not invoke. It does not call the function basically. It just makes a generator object and returns it, and that we are saving in the obj variable. And now the use cases. Okay, so first use case is an infinite loop. You cannot create an infinite loop in JavaScript, but using generators you can create an infinite loop. Why? Because you are accessing the values one by one, whereas when you did like while true, it was like just again and again running that, and it does not move any further forever, and that leads to a crash of program. But when we are using generators, we are like bring accessing the value one by one. So when we are accessing the value one by one, it does not crash. So let's see how to create an infinite loop in a generator. Basically, like we can just like make IDs. Okay, whenever this generator is accessed, we can give the user an ID. Okay, so let's not create some complex IDs over here. Let's create some basic ID. So like 1 2 3 4, these types of ID. So we'll have an ID 1, it will start from 1, and then we'll just give while true. So that's an infinite loop, and this will always give us the ID, and then just add the ID. Okay, and then when we just log out, when we log out, obj dot next several times. Okay, so let's see what it shows. It is showing us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 because it is an infinite loop and it is going on again and again, again and again. So let's see what is happening basically. ID is 1. Okay, so ID is set to 1. Okay, and I told you that the generator function continues from where it last left. So it left on the last yield. So when we were doing the basic example, like just comment out and show, when we were doing this, yield 1, yield 2. So when we were doing, when we were doing this over here, yield 1, yield 2, then what was happening basically, when we did object.next, it showed yield 1, and then after that, when we again did object.next, it showed yield 2. So why it happened, basically it continued to execute the code from where it left. So it always leaves on a yield statement. So over here there's a yield, so it left on a yield, and if there's no more yield in it, so it just finishes off the generator. So over here it did a yield for when we first did obj.next, and then it left over here, and the next time it came, it started from where it left, but it didn't include this. It didn't include this basically. It included after what happened. After that it left. So basically it left over here, so it did all of this. First when we called object.next, it did all of this. Next time it called all of this. Okay, so wherever it left. Okay, so wherever the generator leaves, from there the object.next continues. Okay, so we are just doing object.next. So what is happening, first time it goes in here, it does id to 1, it goes in the while loop and it yields out id and basically comes out of the generator. Next time it left over here, so it starts from here, it increments the id, so the id is 2, goes back to the loop and yields out the id, so 2 is being yielded. Then the third time it goes over here after this last leave, and it increments the id, and then it goes back up and then yields out the id again. So it happens this for whenever we call object.next, this process takes place. Okay, so over here we created just an infinite loop. So this was quite cool. The next thing that we can do with this generator functions, the next use case is basically that we can create an iterator. So basically in this generator will get an array. Okay, and what we could do, we could just do for variable I equals to 0, I less than array dot length I plus plus, and then we'll just yield out yield I is equals to 0, and then we'll just yield out array I. So I'll just explain this in a second, and then we'll just pass this generator because it is asking for an argument. We'll just pass it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so basically what is happening, let's keep this short. Let's keep it till 3, and basically the first time it goes in there, it does for variable I equals to 0, I less than array dot length I plus plus, so yield array I, it yields out array I, so that is array 0 is basically 1, so it will show 1. The next time it basically it continues from where it left, so it continues after where it left, so it left over here, so it continues from here basically. So I is less than array dot length. Basically I is 1. Okay, so I is 1, so it is less than the array dot length, so it just yields out that also. Okay, so it I array 1 is 2. The okay, so the next time, the third time, basically it I is 2. So okay, so basically 2 is less than 3 because array dot length is 3, so it goes in here, it yields out array 2. Okay, and then I is basically incremented. Okay, so when it yields out array 2 on the second index, it is 3 over there, so basically it shows 3. And the fourth time when it goes, I is 3, 3 is not less than 3, so it does not yield out anything, so it takes it as the function is over. Okay, so I'll just quit WhatsApp, sorry. Okay, so it takes as the function is over, and it just yields out undefined because nothing is more left to yield, and basically it shows done true. So when we run this, it will show 1 2 3, and then it is showing value undefined and done is true. Before this it was showing done false because there was something left to yield, but now it is undefined, so done is true, the function is over, nothing is left in the function. Okay, so now let's do a very interesting thing. Let's go back to our infinite loop example. Okay, so here we are. So this is our infinite loop example. So in this, basically we can ask for arguments from next. So for example, what if we want like id is 1 and we want the id to jump to a certain id, so like 4, how can we do that? So basically, instead of the yielding the id over here, what we can do, we can just create a variable increment, and we'll just yield the id, and we'll just check if increment is not equals to null, then id plus equals to increment, else id plus plus. So what is happening over here? So like when we don't give anything, when we don't give anything to next, it is happening perfectly because like basically yield id, what it does, it is yielding out the id, but with that it is taking in the value that is passed to the next call, to the next function call. So the next function so like whenever it is like yielding out something, yield id variable increment is equal to yield id. What this is doing, this is taking in the value, like it is yielding out id, with that it is taking in the value of the next method call. Okay, so basically if we give some value over here 4, it will take in that value. Okay, but let's just focus on when we don't give any value. So when we don't give any value, basically increment is equal to yield id, and basically it is taking the next method calls value passed, so basically that's null, so it will go in the else because we are checking if increment is not equal to null, but that is null, so it will go to id plus plus, so it will just keep on incrementing the id because we are not passing anything and it is always null. So what is happening, basically the first time the user comes in, id is set to 1, and then we are just yielding out the id. The next time and with that it is taking the next this over here, the next calls, the method calls argument passed. Then the next time when the user comes, it is checking if it is not equal to null, it is null, so it goes in the else, it adds the id and does the same thing, and so on. It keeps on doing it. It basically shows id. With that, it takes the third function calls argument value that is passed, okay, and so on. But when we give, so let's see what the result is. It should just come 1 2 3 4 5 6. Oh, it's showing nan. While true if increment, um so is it going in here? Let's see. Oh, so it is going in here. Oh, sorry. So basically, variable increment equals to yield id. If increment is not equals to null, then just add the id to the increment to the id. Else, hmm. Okay, let's reverse this. It should not make a difference, but let's see. Okay, so it is making a difference. Okay, so now it's working perfectly. Okay, let's see. Why wasn't it working at that time? Okay, now it's working. Okay, it was because of that double equals to, I think. Yep, it was because of that double equals to. Okay, so no worries. Now it's fixed. So basically, it is showing us 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Now, for example, I give 4 over here. So let's first see what the result should be. First time the user goes in here, ID is 1, and it is just yielding out the id, and it is taking the next function called argument that is passed, that is nan. So the next time the user comes in here, id will be just incremented by 1, so it will be 2 now, and then it will just yield out that id, and with that it will take the next the next method calls argument that is passed, that is 4, and now it is not null, and it will just add that value that we have given to the id. Okay, so it will add that value to the id. Okay, and then it will just show it, and it will then take the next method call, the next method calls argument that is passed, that is null. So basically it will just increment it by 1. So let's see if this is working how we expected. So yeah, it is 1 2 and 6. So basically why 1 2 and 6? So because first of all, it was there was no value in here. So basically first of all, it is just id is 1, and we are yielding out the id, and with that we are taking the next method calls argument that is passed. Okay, and the next time it is checking if that argument is not equals to null, but it is null because we have not passed anything, so it goes in the else, and it just increments the id by 1, and then it just yields it out, and at the same time takes the next method calls argument that is passed. So basically that's 4, so its value is 4, and it just logs out 2. So yeah, 2 is coming. Then it checks that if increment is not equal to null, it is not null, it is 4. That's why it is adding that increment. So it is adding 4 to the id, and then it is going up here, yielding out, taking the next method calls value, and then so on and so forth. It is doing all the stuff. Now if you give anything over here, nothing is gonna happen. Why? Because it is going in here, it is ids 1, and it is just incrementing, and it is just yielding the id. So it is yielding 1, and it is taking the next method calls value that is passed. It is not seeing for this only, it is not seeing for the first one only. Okay, so whenever you pass anything to the first one, nothing will happen, because basically it is not checking for it only, it is checking directly for the second one. Okay, so this was quite cool. Now let's talk about the return methods and the throw method. So the return method and the throw method. For example, we want to break out this out of this function permanently, and we don't want this anymore. So we can just return this, and we can just give any value, breaking out value, undefined, null, 10, anything, so that, and that value will just be returned to us, and the user will break out of that function permanently. So over here, let's just remove this. It will show 1, 2, 3, and then it will show 10, and then it will just show undefined, 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 because the function is now over. So you see 1, 2, 3, 10, and undefined, 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 done is true, because now the return method instantly finishes the function work. It says that the function is now over, its work is done, and it just returns whatever we pass it. Okay, so this is not that useful, but if you want to break out of a function, you can use this. If you want to just in the middle of something, you want to break out of the generator function, then you can use the return method. And finally we have the throw method. So basically you can just you can give anything over here like hi, and it will just show uncaught high. If you want to make this a better error, you can just create a new error object. So new error object, and just pass this high. So this will basically uh, show uncaught error high at script js18. So it is just showing it in a better way, like uncaught error high at this. So this is not so super useful, like, but if you are like creating a library and you want to throw an error at some time, you can use this also. So thank you guys. If you like the video, don't forget to smash the like button, and if you learned something really new that 90% of the developers didn't know, please share this so that more people know about this topic, and please subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of these types of videos that 90% of the JavaScript developers don't know about. Plus I'm teaching a lot of other languages, MySQL, MongoDB, Node.js, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and all of this in this channel. So this is a full package channel. There's nothing, I'm not costing anything. Just press the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you are good to go. Thank you guys. Bye. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep watching my videos. Damn.